Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. I'm coming to you with another video review. This is a game that is in a Kickstarter program that is currently ongoing. The game is... no, not that one, sorry. No, this is coming soon. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong box. Actually, I don't have a box for this one. The box that I would get for this would be awesome. It would be huge because it's going to have 1,000 or so miniatures, or not 1,000, but like, 70 or so miniatures crammed in this box for the game Cthulhu Wars. Cthulhu Wars is a game for 3 to 5 people in which each person takes on the role of a great old one trying to destroy the world. Actually, they're like in a race against each other to destroy the world. And each of the awesome, cool, great old ones that you've come to know, such as the King in Yellow, Hastur, and Shub-Niggurath, and of course Cthulhu. You get to embody that faction, if you will. The creator of the game is Sandy Peterson. If you're familiar with Call of Cthulhu games, that name should be very well known to you. If not, look him up. The guy's a hoot. I've exchanged several emails with him in the last week or so when I inquired to him about the possibility of getting some print and play files so I could make my own copy of the game and then try it out with my buddies. And of course, the game has been excellent and I've enjoyed it a great deal. And if you haven't gone to the Kickstarter page for this game, please do, because the miniatures themselves look stupendous. I mean, they probably, if you're a person who just likes miniatures and the possibility of painting them, it probably will sell you on the game alone. But since I don't have the miniatures and I only have like my own print and play map that I made here. And that's just the 3-player map. The 5-player map actually has more territory. So I'm going to show you the 3-player map for the how to play version of this video. But the miniatures, as I said, will probably sell you on the game alone just because of how intricate and how amazing they look. What I'm doing this video for is to kind of show you how the game is played, and so you can actually see the substance that is supporting the style, or the style supporting something, whatever you will. Because like I said, I played this game a few times with my friends, and we've had a hoot each and every time. The theme is right up my alley, and I knew it would be, and so I feel really fortunate that I've been able to play the game, even though I've had to use some of my old Dungeons & Dragons miniatures to replace some of the big evil entities, if you will. But regardless, I'm going to show you how to play the game, and then after I get done showing you how, that's when I will, of course, step into the whole process where I tell you exactly why the game clicks on all levels for myself, and then hopefully somewhere along this path that you and I will take over the next several minutes, of course, several minutes, you will happen upon some reason why you think you would want to support the game so you can get a copy of it once it is published. Alright, so here we go. Cthulhu Wars, how to play. Here we go. This is the print and play map that I got for Cthulhu Wars. I got the file sent to me, and I printed this off at Office Max. And my understanding, this map's huge, and I made it out of like a bunch of different sheets of paper. My understanding is that this pretty much looks like it's going to look, but it's going to be even bigger than this. The reason why it's going to be even bigger is because the areas on the map need to be big for the many awesome miniatures that come with the game to have their places. I'm gonna tell you exactly how to play the game, the different actions you can take, and so on and so forth. But I want to just touch base on a few things quickly, so you can when I refer to them later as I'm explaining the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is the 3-person map. I've set up Cthulhu, Black Goat, and the Yellow Sign. There you also get the Crawling Chaos with the game, but this is a 3-person map. If you want to play a 4 or 5-player game, first of all, if you want to play a 5-player game, you have to get an expansion to add another faction to your side. But to play a 4 or 5-person game, 5-person game, you'll use a different map that will expand the entire map to more areas. Basically, it'd be like the other side. My understanding is that you will basically flip the map over to do that. But to play a 4-player game, you have to basically take 1/2 the map and put more areas on it. And like you can kind of see, this is goes over right there, and you can see that, you know, South America becomes 2 spaces, New Zealand and Australia and like become 2 spaces, and so on and so forth, and it just kind of becomes larger, if you will. I just wanted to make sure I showed that to you. And also, obviously, whereas the art that I have in front of me is, I think, either very close or almost exactly what it's going to be in. The miniatures will not be little meeples for the cultists, and I'm using my D&D miniatures for different monsters, and so the actual miniatures and the look of the game will be different once it is published. Depending on how many players you have, you have a ritual track, and this determines when the end of the game happens. This is for 3 players. You can see it says 3 players over there, and then 4, and then 5. You notice that the 5-player, the top one, the top track is much longer than the track there, because with 5 players, these are the rituals. The ritual track is this ritual annihilation that the players can enact, and when they do, they're bringing about the end of the world. And what you do is you just kind of have a marker there, and each per time you do, you just move it up the track, and eventually when you get to the end, that signifies the end of the game, because the end of the world has happened. You'll notice that there is a cost, like a 3 and then 4, and it works well up to 10. That's the cost and power that it takes you to actually do the ritual. But I'll talk about that more when I talk about the actions you can do. But just so you can see, it actually increases as the game goes. Below that, you see there's a doom track. And the doom track is also one, kind of like a scoring, if you will. And it also is a way that the game can end. If you notice at the end it says victory, if you can get to 20 points on the doom track. Normally, if you get to the 20th spot, you will win the game. However, there's a couple of different situations that you have to satisfy. There's some things that you have to have done prior to getting 20 points to actually win the game. It should be noted that it is possible for everyone to lose. If you manage, if you get to the end of the doom track and nobody has satisfied their spell library, which is how you have to have all 6 spots of your spell library. You know nothing what I'm talking about right now probably, but I will explain that. The game ends, but the humans win. They managed to save the world, and none of the great old ones destroyed it. So that's just, I wanted to show that to you so you know what's going on with that. The factions each get a little faction card that explains the powers and the abilities of each one. There's the Black Goat, Yellow Sign, Crawling Chaos, and of course the Great Cthulhu. I'm just going to show that to you. On one side, sorry for the glare, you know, this is just paper. On one side you can see over here the different creatures that you can summon, including Great Cthulhu down there, Deep Ones and Shoggoths and so on, and Star Spawn. It tells you the cost and their power in battle, the abilities that you have, and also the different what you have to have done to summon Cthulhu. And each one of the great old ones has a different set of circumstances you have to satisfy. For example, to awaken Cthulhu, you have to have a gate in the South Pacific. It can be controlled or uncontrolled, it can be controlled by anybody. And then you pay 10 power to summon him. Subsequent summonings of Great Cthulhu only cost you 4, and by doing so, you gain a an Elder Sign for summoning the Great Cthulhu, and I'll talk about more about Elder Signs in just a little bit. You'll also notice, well, let me just say Shub Niggurath. It says how to awaken Shub Niggurath. 2 of your cultists and a control gate must be in the same area. You pay 8 power, and you sacrifice those 2 cultists, and Shub Niggurath eats them, or what have you. And then you summon Shub Niggurath. And so like each one has that different ability that's going on. Remember I mentioned spell libraries. You can see over here these 6 spots. That's the spell library. Each one has a spell library, as you saw. If you get the spell library satisfied, there's a something you have to do for that to happen. Whereas like here on one of them it says kill or devour an enemy unit in battle, or control 3 gates in an ocean area. Now, if you satisfy one of those, you can then you take these are those little cards, and there's these little powers on there, and then you pick one of these and you place it on your sheet, and now you have that ability. Some of these are ongoing abilities, like here's Devolve with the Great Cthulhu. Devolve allows you to turn your cultists into deep ones. It's just an ability that you have, and some of them have a cost on them, and they're an action, like Dreams, which allows you to pick a player and they have to remove one of their cultists and replace it with one of yours. It's just you know, it's something that actually costs. It isn't something that just keeps happening, if you will. And then, you know, pretty simply, like if the Cthulhu player controlled those 3 gates in the oceans, they just place that over that location like that, and now they have that ability. Now, you can't ever lose these once you gain them. So if you gain the 3 gates in the oceans to be able to you know, place this card down, if somebody should come in and take that gate from you, you don't lose that ability. It always will stay with you at that point. There's also this little track up here that is the power, and that's how much power you have on a given turn, and then as you spend the power, it goes down towards the 0, and you know, that's how that runs. Now that's the different components. I'm going to step into now how you actually play the game and the different phases of the game. The first phase of the game is gathering power. To gather power, there are 4 different ways, standard ways to gain power. As the game progresses, and certain factions have certain abilities that allow them to gain power in other ways, but the standard ways are for every cultist that you have on the board, you gain 1 power. If you control a gate, like this guy right there is controlling the gate, that's worth 2 power to whoever controls it. If there is another gate on the board, say like there's a gate up here in North America, but nobody controls it, that gives everybody that's playing 1 power. It's just like it's spewing forth energy, and you're able to harness a bit of it. Lastly, if you have captured somebody else's cultist in the preceding turn, at this point, it'll be on your faction sheet if you've captured them. What happens then is you sacrifice that cultist, and you have to do that. You can't not do it. You sacrifice the cultist, and then you give it back to the other player, and you gain 1 power for sacrificing that cultist. You total up your power. You place a marker, just like wherever on the wherever your power is, and that's the power that you'll have for this particular turn of the game. If for whatever reason, 1 player, maybe they got wiped out the turn prior, and they don't have a lot of cultists out, or they aren't controlling a gate, say they, and they only managed to gain like 4 power. If somebody else had like 14, the person that has less than half of the top player, the top power, gets to elevate their power to half of the top player. And you round up. So if 14, you'd get 7. But if the top player had 15, you get 8, because it'd be 7.5, round up to 8. So then you have 8 power, which is a really nice thing, because this game does have a lot of swings back and forth. And if you weren't able to like kind of get that extra little bonus gift in lots of situations, you wouldn't have a chance. The boot would be on your neck, and the game would be pretty much over, and you'd just be along for the ride at that point. So I like that. It's a nice. It's a nice little way to make sure that nobody is left in the dust, because you can't be eliminated in this game. Even if you lose all your units and you don't have any presence whatsoever on the board, you don't lose. You can still spend power, get cultists on the board, maybe take over a gate. You can still do stuff on the board. So just because you're wiped out, you're not wiped out of the game. To determine the first player, the very first turn of the game, whoever's playing the Great Cthulhu gets to go first. On subsequent turns, it's whoever has gained the most power gets to go first. If the first turn of the game nobody's playing Great Cthulhu, you just you go alphabetically. Goes first. So Black Goat goes first, then Crawling Chaos, and then the Yellow Sign. But normally, or somebody always wants to play Great Cthulhu, so that's almost the first player. So after you determine who the first player is, the first player has a very important decision to make. They decide whether or not the turn is going to go clockwise or go anti-clockwise. And I like that. I think that's cool. I think in the game itself, the first player token is going to have like a two-sided coin, basically, where you pick either side, and that will determine which way that goes. And there's a little bit of strategy as far as which side you pick, and you'll understand that once you start playing the game. But regardless, once you've determined the turn order, now the first player will go and they will start taking actions. And each person takes an action and the game continues until everybody gets down to 0 power. You can't save your power. If for whatever reason you get down to 3 power and you just don't want to do anything else, or you can't do anything else just because you don't have anything to spend your power on, you just put your power down to 0. And then you're done. Some powers that actions you'll take will cost 0 power to do, but once you hit 0 power, you can't do those. Once you get down to 0 power, you're done. You just have to basically just sit there and watch everybody else do their thing. And so spending power actually becomes important because, do you do your little tiny actions first and then save up your power so you can do stuff after everybody else is gone, or and so on and so forth. So there's lots of different really cool things you can do with your power and how fast or how slow you want to spend it as the game moves forward. But I want to kind of go over all the different actions that you can do, just so you have an idea of how to play the game. If you don't... notice how each person's got 6 cultists. This is how the game starts. This is where the gates are, and this is how the game starts. There are a finite number of units each person gets. You don't have an unlimited number. You get 6 cultists. That's all you have. Don't worry, your cultists will die and be reborn over and over and over again. It's just part of that game. They are the grist for the mill for this game. But there's a certain number of deep ones that that Cthulhu has. There's a certain number of ghouls that I believe there's a certain number of ghouls that the Black Goat has and things like that. So once you've hit that maximum, you can't have any more. And once they're killed, obviously you can bring them back and then summon them or whatever. So it's important to note that there is a finite number of units that will be on the board. But regardless, one of the really cheap things you can do is you can always summon a cultist. It costs a power. You have to summon a cultist in an area where you already have a unit. If you don't have any units, you've been completely wiped out, then you can just place a cultist wherever you want. And you just take one and you put it down on the board, and then you're good to go. And and remember that's your action for that particular round, and then you're done. Another really basic thing you can do is moving units. Moving units, this is one of the very few things that's actually variable in power as far as how much you spend. You're moving one move, so you can't spend 2 and move somebody 2 spaces or whatever. But you can spend 4, say, to move 4 cultists and move them like so, and you can move those into Asia if you wanted to. And that would be an action. And that's good, because I think it would really stink if my actions move one guy there, my actions move one guy there, and so on and so forth. And as the game, keeps going, so it's good that you can move all your people at the same time. Another thing you can do is if you are in an area and you have a cultist in an area, say I had a cultist up there in the Arctic Ocean, and I should note that every unit can go everywhere. Obviously, it makes sense that deep ones and stuff can be in the oceans, but even your cultists can be in the oceans. They're just kind of assumed to be on a boat or something like that. But anyway, so you have a cultist up there. You can, for 3 power, you can summon a gate, and so you take a gate, and I just use these little discs here, and you place that on there, and then you immediately put your cultist on top of there to show that you are controlling that gate. Remember, that's worth 2 power if you're controlling a gate when you're gathering power. And remember, that costs you 3. So at the beginning, obviously, you're spending 3 to gain 2, but obviously if you keep holding on to it, it'll eventually pay for itself. Another action you can do is a battle. If you have units, say like I had these 2 deep ones and my Cthulhu, which is a purple worm, in that spot right there, I could spend a power and I could have a battle in this particular location. And then we would actually go, and I'll explain battles here in just a little bit. But you have to have, obviously, enemy units in another spot. Just because you have an enemy unit, just because I have Cthulhu hanging out in Africa here, I haven't started a battle until I actually choose to start the battle. And also, if for whatever reason I was in there and there was like other cultists in there, I could pick which one I wanted to fight, and the other one just kind of stands there and watches and sees what happens. So you do that. And like I said, I'll explain battles here in just a little bit. But when you do that, that costs 1. Now it's important to note that once you actually get all 6 of the spells in your spell library, spellbook library fulfilled, you can start a battle for 0. You can just do it, and like as long as you have enemy units in other areas, you can just it doesn't cost you anything to start a battle at that point. For 1 power, you can capture a cultist. I'll admit, I was like kind of like, well, so I spend a power and then I get a power later, and I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does, because it's actually a net gain of 2 because you're taking that cultist away from them, and they're unable to use that particular, they won't get that power on the next turn. But to capture a cultist, you have to have one of your monsters, not another cultist, but you have to have another monster in an area with other cultists are, and then you just spend a point and you capture that cultist. Now, to prevent that from happening, if you have a monster of your own, say the deep one is there, that can't happen. I'm not able to capture that cultist at that point, because it's just there's another monster there preventing that from happening. However, if this is the yellow sign, I just use this big end here. Then if Nyarlathotep, which I can never pronounce, is in that location, doesn't matter how many monsters I have, the Great Old Ones can always capture cultists. And you just spend 1, you capture the cultist, you place it on your faction sheet, and then next turn you'll sacrifice it and you'll give it back to the other player. After you've done that, then you can summon monsters as long as you have, as an action, you can summon monsters as long as you have control of a gate, and then you can summon a monster, and each monster has a cost, and I apologize if you can't quite see that, but like here it says that deep ones cost 1, Shoggoths cost 2, and Star Spawns cost 3. So you just pay the power. So if I wanted to say summon this Star Spawn, and I'm down here, I just spend 3 power and I summon that monster, and now it's on the board and with that gate that I control. As I said, an action is a Ritual of Annihilation. The Ritual of Annihilation costs between 3 and 10 on as far as where the marker is on the ritual track, and you just spend that and then you move it up. Now after, there's more to it than just spending the power. After you move it up, you get points on the Doom track equal to the number of gates that you control. So you control 3 gates, you gain 3 points on the Doom track. And then you get to take an Elder Sign token. And this is the standard way to get Elder Sign tokens. Some of the other great factions can get Elder Sign tokens in different ways. But in the game, the Elder Sign tokens will be cardboard chits. They'll have an Elder Sign on one side, and on the other they'll either have a 0.5 point, 1 point, or 1.5 points. And what you'll do is you'll take that and you'll put it in front of you, and you'll just keep that secret from everybody else. And then at any given time you can turn those in, and you can gain those points on the Doom track. and they're basically used, and they've always been used in my games, to you kind of hoard them, and then you spend them to elevate yourself on the Doom track to the level 20, which will trigger the end game, who wins the game. And so, but for because I didn't want to, cut out a bunch of little pieces of paper with those points on, I just used a Crown Royal bag and some poker chips, and we just kept the poker chip secret. You reach in, you just take one out, and I used white ones for the half points. Blue ones were 1.5, and the reds were 1, and we just kept those secret. And then you just and then when you revealed them, you just put them down and you say, I'm spending these, and I'm going to increase my points in the Doom track, like so. That's doing a ritual, and obviously if you cause the end of the game either by getting to doing a level 10 on the ritual, or getting your Doom track to 20 by doing so, then you trigger the end game conditions and you see who wins the game. You can awaken your Great Old One as an action. As I said, each one has a different circumstance that you have to satisfy in order to summon. You just pay the power to do so, and you summon your Great Old One, and it's like, now I have Great Cthulhu, or what have you, and you just place it on the board, and then you're good to go. Certain factions have abilities that cost power to do, and also they have as I said, they'll get certain spells, like here's the yellow sign. It's like the screaming dead action, and you see it has a cost of 1. It says, move the king in yellow. Any undead in the same area can move with him for free. After this action, immediately take a second different action. So you get to do that particular action. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. You gain an Elder Sign token when you do the ritual. I apologize. When you do the ritual annihilation, you gain the Elder Sign token only if you have your Great Old One out on the board. And you gain only 1 for every Great Old One. Now, for everyone, I used this Night Stalker and a Otyug for the King in Yellow for and Hastur, and I use these. And the Yellow Sign has 2. So if you have both of them out, you'd gain 2 Elder Sign tokens for doing so. So I apologize. I forgot that is how that works. And then you have those unique actions, and then of course there are just the actions that are just unlimited that you can do. As I said, like if you have a cultist in a spot with an uncontrolled gate, you can just go ahead and place your cultist on top of it, and now you've controlled that gate, and that doesn't cost you anything to do so. And also the free action of, once you have all 6 of your spell library filled out, you can do a battle, and it costs nothing. You can initiate 1 battle per area per action phase. Alright, so those are the different actions, and as I said, I was going to go over battle, and battle's really simple, and I'm just gonna make one up here. I'm gonna put 2 deep ones and a where's my star spawn? There we go. I'll put 2 deep ones of star spawn and a couple of cultists here in North Atlantic, and I'll take 3 ghouls from the Black Goat, and then I'll throw a couple of cultists out there, and so that's a battle. And then I decide I'm going to fight. Now, what you do is you total up the power of the things that are in the battle. So deep ones have a power of 1, star spawn has a power of 3, and ghouls each have a power of 1. And so the ghouls in this battle have 3. And I have 5 with the star spawn and those. So each person will roll the dice simultaneously. So, and on a 6, it's a kill result. On a 4 or a 5, it's a pain result. So here are the 5 dice for Cthulhu. Looks like I got 2 6s, which is pretty awesome, and 2 5s as well. And here are these 3, and I actually got a 6, which is kind of neat. So notice how there's cultists. Cultists are your battle fodder. They're your grist. So what'll happen undoubtedly in this situation, since it takes effect immediately and it's simultaneous, they got 2 kill results on their dice and 2 pain results. I got 1 kill result over here with the Black Goat and nothing else. So I'm going to kill 1, he's going to kill 2 and 2 pain. So what happens with killing you obviously you usually almost always take your cultists, but there may be a certain situation where you don't, and that's the extent of the losses over there. Over here, there's 2 kill results, so most likely you're going to take your 2 cultists, you're going to remove them. But there's the 2 pain results. And with the 2 pain results, you force the other player to take 2 of their units and retreat them. And when they retreat, they can go anywhere as long as it isn't into another spot that has, like, the person they just fought in that spot. So I could run back here to Africa, or I could even run back here into Europe, you know, and where the yellow sign is. That's fine. And so that's the pain result. If for whatever reason, if, like, let's say I was surrounded by Cthulhu and they got like these 2 pain results, I can't retreat. You kill 1 of the people that can't retreat, and then the rest of them stay. So you don't lose them all if you have to retreat and you can't. You just lose 1 in that situation. But, you know, so that would happen, and then and that would be the battle. Things don't have hit points, if you will. Just because I have Great Cthulhu in there, if somebody rolled really well and I don't have any battle fodder to keep Great Cthulhu from being killed, Great Cthulhu just gets killed. I mean, but like I said, it's kind of easy to you know, keep the monsters coming, if you will, but it also makes you be very careful about not spreading yourself out and not like leaving your great old one out in the middle of nowhere, ready to be like slaughtered by a bunch of ghouls or you know, just a few fungi or something like that, because that can be very disheartening to lose your great old one if that's the case. So and that's pretty much the game. I mean, I realize it seems kind of simple, but I mean, obviously when you have the entire map filled with gates and monsters and what have you, and everybody is going toe to toe with each other, and you know, all these special abilities are, you know, taking off and what have you, then you know, there's a lot more to it. But I mean, I want to just kind of like go a minimalist approach as far as, you know, how to show you how the game works and how all the different actions happen or what have you. You know, just to go over really quickly how you win the game, just in case I didn't explain that well enough. If you're the person that advances, if you advance your doom marker past 19, the game immediately ends. Normally that player will win, but if you don't have all 6 of your spell books complete for whatever reason, which I don't think that is ever really going to happen, but I suppose it could. Then whoever is furthest along the track and has the 6 spell books is the winner. So just because you get to the end of the Doom track doesn't mean that you are the winner automatically. The other way to win, if the ritual annihilation marker is on the 10 spot and you perform the ritual, the game immediately ends, and then all players without their 6 spell books lose. So if you haven't completed your spell books, you're not going to win the game. But whoever's remaining, the player whose marker is furthest along in their own on the Doom track is the winner, and then in case of tie, the victory is shared. If nobody has 6 spell books and somehow the ritual annihilation gets done, which is ridiculous, I can't imagine that happening, the humans can win. At that point, nobody wins, the world isn't destroyed, and the humans win the game. So there you go. Thanks for sitting through that really long explanation of the game. You know, I've really had a blast playing the game with, you know, just my D&D miniatures and you know, putting them out on the board, and you know, it's made it a little difficult trying to remember you know, which is which, but you know, my friends and I, we kind of powered through it just because the game is that much fun. But let me tell you exactly what I think of Cthulhu Wars. You know, as I was like looking, and one of the things about D&D that I've always loved is the fact that you can totally tell in like first edition Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that, that Gary Gygax and the other people that were making the monsters back then had to have Cthulhu inspired influence. And as a matter of fact, the old Fiend Folio, remember that? Like had the actual Cthulhu mythos in there, and then like if you, for a while, those were like really sought after collector's copies, because like they they violated some copyright or whatever, and so they couldn't have them in there. But anyway, so I hope you didn't mind the fact that I used some of those, but I think they work, especially the Otyugh. The Otyugh, actually, that guy looks like he's from some sort of horrible thing man wasn't meant to know kind of thing. But anyway. Alright, so Cthulhu Wars. Now you should have a good idea of how to play the game. You know, it isn't a tough game to learn how. Okay, address a couple things right away. A lot of people are saying this seems like Chaos in the Old World. Chaos in the Old World is an amazing game, mind you. I haven't played enough of it. I mean, it came out a while ago. And, you know, I think I traded my copy away, actually, for whatever reason. It just didn't hit the table with my group for whatever reason. But I always liked Chaos in the Old World. And this game has a lot of the same stuff going on. It isn't as fiddly, if you can believe that, just because I remember Chaos in the Old World with all the different tokens and everything like that, and the ever-changing things that were happening. There was a lot of stuff in there that you know, kind of would bog down the game a little. This is kind of the same thing. You're running an evil, god-like faction. You have your cultists moving around, you know, doing their evil things. But whereas that game kind of had more of you were against each other, but really only like one of the factions was really like slam bam attacking everybody left and right. Corn. This one, or Corn, or whatever how you want to pronounce it. I mean, this one is more of a dice-driven combat thing. There's a lot of different abilities that each of the factions get, and they get to unlock, which will then change the things. But at its heart, this game is kind of an area control, fisticuffs type of game, and I like conflict games. There's no player elimination in this game because of the fact that, you know, even if you get knocked out, you know, you're totally wiped clean, you still get power, you know, and you still get to like put your people back on the board and start up again. So there's no way to, like, you know, kill somebody off. Obviously, if you do that to somebody, they're set back a little bit. But what this game has is it just drips in theme, and it's so amazing. I mean, I realize that the whole idea of Cthulhu and everything like that, Arkham Horror, I've said this many times in my videos, is my favorite game of all time. So I knew going into this game it would have to completely be horrible for me to like say, I just can't play this. But this game is so far from being completely horrible. I love all the things about the game, as far as opening up those spell books so you can, you know, get those extra powers. I love the process of the Doom track and basically chasing each other on the Doom track, trying to catch up. I love the secret little Elder Sign tokens that you pick up and you get to hide, and you get to, like, you know, keep that secret. And, like, you know, and I realize that, you know, it seems like the very basic strategy is just to, like, hold on to those and be peeking at them until you're just in the exact position to reveal them, so you can win the game. But you know, I have had situations where, like, you know, I needed to reveal them earlier, you know, for whatever reason, just, you know, because of certain powers or abilities gained and things like that. I mean, I know that the game is going to look probably 1,000 times better than the print and play thing that I have in front of me right now, and I know that's going to add to the game a lot. And you're going to say, whoa, Undead Viking, how many times have you told me in the video that you don't care about components? Of course I don't care about components. If the game is fun, the game is fun. But there are components that make the game more enjoyable. I mean, you can think back to just dry Euros on my video for Zolkin. The whole gear thing. The gears look really cool in that game. Now, could you do the exact same thing with some rondels and just moving things around? Yeah, definitely. You absolutely could. But that kind of adds to the game and then makes the game, you know, one, looks cool, and two, it cuts down on the amount of the you know, fiddliness, having to move stuff around. In this game, if you go and look at the models, at a glance, you can just see who's doing really well. I mean, this way, unfortunately, because of the fact that my D&D miniatures are all different colors and things like that. We've had situations like, oh, you're the goblins, right? So the goblins are Cthulhu. No, the goblins are Hastur. Okay, yeah. And things like that, where we would have issues with remembering those things. So obviously, like, when you get all those miniatures and all the different colors that are all of your faction, the game is going to just look awesome and both make the actual playing of it even more awesome. You know, just the whole process of the idea of summoning a big giant evil Cthulhuoid to, you know, devour your opponents so you can take over those last few gates and put your cultists on there so you can gain power that is going to allow you to, you know, finally advance the doom track to the point where you know, you pay that power on the annihilation and you pay that final bit, so it brings about the end of the world, and you've got your 6 spell books and everything like that. That's just such a wonderfully climactic moment. It's just fun to be the person who does it. It's even kind of fun to see somebody else do it too. A couple of things about the game that I wish were kind of included, and maybe there's and I know there's like a ton of expansions that you can get. If you want to drop a lot of money, you can get tons of miniatures and tons of expansions for this game, and you know, I mean, I know I'm going to, but the thing is that I wish there was maybe, I don't know how you could do it. I honestly don't know how you could do this, but I would really like the human player, you know, like the person that is trying to prevent the world from ending, and you know, and that person, and you'd have to give them, I don't know what you'd have to give them to be able to fight not only one great old one, but like 5. But you'd have to give them something where they could like close the gates or something, or they could reduce people's doom tracks or things like that. And so, like, maybe there would be a turn limit or something like that. And so, like, if you didn't destroy the world by, say, turn 20 or something like that, the humans won, they prevented it. And I thought that would be really, really cool. And then, like, you as the other players could be trying to capture the humans and consume them for more power and things like that. I mean, that's just a pipe dream on the top of my head. You know, just, oh, I wish kind of thing. I mean, yeah, I'm greedy when it comes to, like, my heavily thematic games, but why not? That'd be a really cool thing. I don't know if you could ever implement it, but Sandy, if you're listening, and obviously I hope you are, something to think about. But what do I like about the game? I love the combat because it's quick and it's simple and it's short and it's sweet, and I love the action process of just like, you know, do I do my big move now, or do I wait until I can, like, everybody else has used up their power? I like that. I'm going to do this. What's your turn? You're using 2 power. Okay, what are you doing? You're summoning a cultist. You're making a gate. Things like that as the game just kind of progresses. And the nice thing about that is that one, people's turns don't take a long time. It's like, okay, I'm moving. Okay, there. You know, I move all these there. That's my turn. And then this person's, okay, I'm making a gate there. And it goes around like that. And it also is nice that you don't have to plot out your entire turn. If I'm summoning a cultist because I need one, because I need to get those guys out there so I can, you know, take over a gate or what have you. And the next guy next to me starts moving all of his forces into an area that I think he's gonna fight me for very soon. Then it gets back to me and it's like, okay, now I'm summoning monsters, you know, to back myself up there. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of guess what the person is going to be doing, and then you have to plan for it, but also just, you know, keep it in the back of your head, like an idea of being adaptable when your turn comes along. Another thing I really like about the game is that the first player gets to do that clockwise or anti-clockwise, or counterclockwise. I always like anti-clockwise, but clockwise or anti-clockwise. And so they get to go first, but then they get to figure out who they're going to screw over as far as who's going to go last. I really like that. I mean, because you know, it's one of those things where I've played too many games where I get the first player, but then the person that I'm really having a problem with is my left, and I can't do anything to stop them from going second. I'd love them to go last, you know, especially in like a 4 or 5 player game. I'd love for them to have to wait as everybody else is doing their thing. or even better, it's like sometimes it's good to go last, and so force that person to go right away so they have to show their hand, if you will. I love that part of the game. It's such a tiny little thing, but it's just an amazing little thing that's part of the game. I mean, I guess it's just like I said, I've ever since I've enjoyed games of area control and combat and variable player powers and all those things that I love about heavily thematic games, I knew that I was going to like this game, and I do love this game. The fact that the game is going to just be huge and epic and beautiful, on top of the fact that the game is just a blast to play, is having your cake and eating it too, completely and totally. So, I know that it's making gangbusters money. I'm pretty sure you've all heard of the video. If you have heard of the game, if you haven't, check it out on BoardGameGeek.com. Check it out on the Kickstarter page. I'll post the link below the video as soon as this gets posted. Check it out. Be gobsmacked by the look of the game. And I guarantee you that if you like games that are area control, constant conflict with everybody else in the table, you know, having to be not just the strongest guy, but also being the trickiest and the cleverest kind of thing, then, you know, this is a game for you. I would say that if you like the game Chaos in the Overworld, I would think this game is a must-buy. I mean, I know some people are saying, well, I have Chaos in the Overworld, I don't need this one. You know, this one's it's a similar itch, but it isn't exactly the same. You know, I just remember when I played Chaos in the Overworld that sometimes, like I said, the turns would bog down. That never seemed to happen with this game. The only slowdown in the game was just the combat, but the combat in this game is easy. You just grab a bunch of dice, throw them, see who you killed, see who you pained, and then go from there. You know, I guess I just can't recommend the game enough. The only thing that I really don't like about the game is the fact that I know once the Kickstarter ends in a few days, it's going to be like a year before I actually see my copy, which, you know, makes me sad. So, but I've got the print and play. I can play that whenever I want, and I'm going to be joining the rest of you in the world anxiously awaiting this game to make its way over into our grubby, greedy little hands. So, all right. Well, if any of you have any questions or concerns, by all means, please leave them. I'm sure Sandy will watch the video for comments as well, so I'm sure he can pop in if you have any questions. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And yeah, thank you very much, as always, for taking the time to watch one of my videos. Until the next time, this was Undead Viking, and you have an awesome day. All right. Bye-bye now.